There is something living inside your mind that has never happened. A conversation you keep replaying. A disaster you keep imagining. A future that fills you with dread before it has even arrived. And that thing, that invisible, shapeless fear, is stealing more from you than any real problem ever could. My name is Seneca. I was an advisor to emperors, a writer, a philosopher. And I spent my entire life studying one of the most universal forms of human suffering. Not pain, not loss, not failure, fear of what might happen. Today, I want to free you from it. The mind is a powerful instrument, but left unguided, it becomes your worst enemy. It does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It treats a thought about disaster the same way it treats the disaster itself. And so you suffer twice. Once in your imagination, which is almost always wrong, and once in reality, which almost always turns out to be survivable. I wrote this in a letter nearly 2,000 years ago, and it is still true today. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Read that again. Let it land. Most of what you are afraid of has never happened, and most of what has happened, you survived. Here is what fear actually is. Fear is your mind projecting the worst possible version of an unknown future onto the present moment. It takes something uncertain and fills that uncertainty with the darkest possibility it can imagine. But uncertainty is not danger. Uncertainty is simply the unknown. And the unknown contains just as many good outcomes as bad ones, perhaps more. The Stoics had a practice for this. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. And before you misunderstand, let me explain what it actually means. It does not mean dwelling in darkness. It does not mean imagining disaster to torture yourself. It means sitting quietly, looking at what you fear and asking, what is the actual worst that could happen? And then asking, could I survive it? Almost always, the answer is yes. When you look fear directly in the face, something remarkable happens. It shrinks. It loses its power over you, because fear only thrives in the shadows, in the space between what you know and what you imagine. Drag it into the light, and it becomes manageable. Think about the last thing you were deeply afraid of. Not a small worry, a real fear. Something that kept you awake. Something that made your chest tighten. Now ask yourself, did it happen exactly the way you feared? Almost certainly not. Either it did not happen at all, or it happened differently. Or it happened, and you found a way through it that you never could have predicted from inside your fear. This is the pattern. This is always the pattern. I faced exile. I faced the loss of everything I had built. I faced the possibility of death by order of an emperor. And in every case, the anticipation of the thing was far worse than the thing itself. Not because the things were small, but because the human spirit is larger than any circumstance it faces. You are more capable than your fear believes you to be. Here is the practice I want to give you. 3 questions. Ask them every time fear begins to take hold. First, is this fear based on something real or something imagined? Most fear is about the future, and the future does not exist yet. You are suffering over a story you are telling yourself. Second, what is the actual worst outcome? Not the emotional version, the factual version. Write it down if you have to. Name it specifically. Fear becomes much smaller when it has a name. Third, if the worst happened, can I find a way through it? You have survived everything that has come at you so far. 100% of your worst days. Every fear that materialized. Every loss you thought you could not bear. You are still here. That is not luck. That is resilience. And it does not disappear when the next challenge arrives. There is one more thing I want to say, and it is perhaps the most important. Most of the things you fear will never happen. That is simply the mathematics of anxiety. The mind generates far more threats than life actually delivers. And so you are paying an enormous emotional price for suffering that will never arrive. What would your life look like if you stopped paying that price? How much energy would return to you? How much more present could you be? How much more fully could you live today, this moment, this actual life, if you stopped spending it inside the imaginary catastrophe? That is the invitation, not to be fearless. Fear is human. Fear is sometimes useful. But to stop letting fear of the unknown steal the known. To stop living in the future and missing the present. The life you are worrying about losing, it is happening right now. Why you worry about it? Be here for it. As I once wrote, Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est. Everything is alien to us. Only time is truly ours. Do not let fear take it from you. If these words reached you, If something shifted, then you already understand what the Stoics knew. Wisdom is not found in certainty. It is found in the courage to face uncertainty without being destroyed by it. Follow this channel. Every week, the ancient voices return with truths that time cannot erase. I will see you in the next one.